Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky was born in 1840 into the rigid social structure of the Russian Empire, a society governed by hierarchy, discipline, and clearly defined expectations. In this world, emotional sensitivity was rarely encouraged, particularly in men, and artistic inclination was often regarded as a fragile distraction rather than a legitimate calling. From the beginning, Tchaikovsky existed in quiet tension with the values of the society into which he was born. From his earliest childhood, he demonstrated an unusually intense emotional response to sound, silence, and atmosphere. Music did not simply please him, it affected him physically and psychologically, often overwhelming him with sensations he could neither regulate nor fully explain. These early reactions suggested a nervous system unusually open to emotional stimulus, a trait that would later define both his genius and his suffering. Melodies did not disappear once they ended, they returned persistently, replaying themselves in his mind with obsessive clarity, often intruding upon his thoughts without invitation. Sound became memory, and memory became emotion, binding music inseparably to his inner life. Despite these clear inclinations, his family regarded music as a refined accomplishment rather than a viable profession. A respectable career within the Russian civil service appeared far more appropriate, promising stability, social standing, and protection from uncertainty. Artistic life, by contrast, seemed dangerous, unstable, and socially suspect. At the Imperial School of Jurisprudence in St. Petersburg, Tchaikovsky was trained for bureaucratic service within a strictly regulated environment. Daily life emphasized obedience, routine, and rational conduct, reinforcing conformity over individuality. Emotional expression was discouraged, and personal sensitivity was expected to remain hidden. Music, therefore, became his private refuge rather than a public pursuit. He attended concerts with near-compulsive frequency, studying orchestral color, harmonic tension, and emotional effect with quiet intensity. These experiences shaped his musical instincts long before he received any formal compositional training. Listening became a form of education. Through observation alone, he absorbed the expressive possibilities of sound, learning how music could articulate what language could not. These formative encounters would later surface instinctively in his own compositions. The founding of the St. Petersburg Conservatory presented Tchaikovsky with a decisive turning point. Choosing music as a profession meant abandoning security in favor of uncertainty and social approval in favor of exposure. It was a decision that carried both liberation and risk. Under the strict guidance of Anton Rubinstein, Tchaikovsky entered a period of rigorous academic discipline. He immersed himself in counterpoint, harmony, orchestration, and formal construction, mastering technical foundations with remarkable speed. His intellectual discipline matched his emotional intensity. Yet, technical mastery did not resolve his deeper conflicts. He remained relentlessly self-critical, haunted by the fear that his music was excessive, emotionally vulnerable, or insufficiently disciplined. Praise offered temporary relief, but never lasting confidence. Teaching at the Moscow Conservatory provided professional legitimacy and financial stability. It placed him within a respected institutional framework and offered a structured daily routine. Yet emotional peace remained elusive. Tchaikovsky lived in a state of near-constant psychological tension. Confidence and despair alternated rapidly, often without clear external cause. He longed for acceptance while simultaneously fearing the exposure that acceptance might bring. Social expectations weighed heavily upon his personal life. In an attempt to conform to societal norms and suppress suspicion, He entered into a marriage that proved emotionally disastrous almost immediately. The decision was motivated less than desire than fear. The marriage collapsed rapidly, leaving deep psychological trauma. Rather than resolving internal conflict, it intensified anxiety and reinforced his sense of isolation. The experience marked a turning point from which he never fully recovered. In the aftermath, composition became more than artistic expression. It became a psychological necessity, a means of organizing internal chaos through structure and sound. Music offered a controlled space in which emotion could exist safely. Letters replaced conversation as his most honest form of communication. Through correspondence, he expressed fear, longing, doubt, and vulnerability with extraordinary candor. Written language allowed honesty that spoken language could not. In these correspondences, one proved uniquely transformative. Nadezhda von Meck, a wealthy widow and devoted patron of music, entered his life through letters alone. Their connection would shape his emotional and artistic future profoundly. Their connection was highly unusual. They exchanged hundreds of letters over many years, sharing emotional intimacy and intellectual reflection, yet they agreed never to meet face to face. Distance itself became a condition of safety. Von Meck's financial support liberated Tchaikovsky from institutional obligations. It allowed him to compose without the immediate pressures of teaching or performance, granting time, privacy, and independence. Artistic freedom, however, came at an emotional cost. Without external structure, his internal volatility intensified. Periods of extraordinary productivity alternated with deep exhaustion, anxiety, and self-doubt. Freedom did not calm his emotions, it amplified them. He traveled restlessly across Europe seeking stability through movement. Cities changed, landscapes shifted, and cultures blurred, yet his emotional state remained unsettled. Travel offered distraction, not resolution. Public success followed him nonetheless. His works were performed widely, and he conducted his own compositions in major cultural centers across Europe. Recognition grew steadily, confirming his importance within the musical world. Applause and acclaim surrounded him, but they failed to silence inner uncertainty. External validation provided momentary reassurance, but never lasting peace. Doubt remained his constant companion. For Tchaikovsky, music was never decorative or ornamental. It functioned as confession, a space where emotional truth could exist without social consequence. Within music, honesty felt possible. He rejected irony and emotional detachment. Instead, he allowed vulnerability to occupy the center of his musical language, unshielded by abstraction or intellectual distance. Emotion was not concealed, it was formalized. Love, despair, fear, and longing were embedded directly into melody, harmony, and structure. Musical form did not restrain emotion, it organized it. This balance defined his musical voice. His symphonies function as psychological documents rather than abstract constructions. Each reflects a distinct emotional condition rather than a purely formal argument. Together, they form an emotional autobiography. In the Fourth Symphony, fate appears as an intrusive and overwhelming force. It interrupts lyrical passages abruptly, dominating the musical landscape with unavoidable authority. Fate is not metaphor, it is experience. The Fifth Symphony does not overcome this force. Instead, it negotiates with it, gradually arriving at a state of weary acceptance rather than triumph. Resolution is ambiguous and emotionally restrained. In the Sixth Symphony, resolution disappears entirely. The music descends rather than concludes, withdrawing energy rather than releasing it. The final movement fades into silence, resisting closure. Alongside his symphonic work, Tchaikovsky fundamentally transformed ballet music. Prior to him, ballet scores functioned primarily as rhythmic accompaniment rather than narrative substance. Emotional depth was secondary. He elevated ballet into serious psychological drama. With Swan Lake, themes of identity, isolation, and transformation entered the language of dance. Music and movement became emotional forces. Sleeping Beauty explores time, inevitability, and restraint. Elegance is shaped through control rather than excess, creating emotional distance rather than immediate intensity. The result is reflective rather than spectacular. The Nutcracker, often misunderstood as light fantasy, conveys a fragile nostalgia. Beneath its surface lies an awareness of innocence as temporary and fleeting. Childhood is remembered, not preserved. His operatic works reject grand spectacle in favor of psychological realism. Emotional tension arises from restraint rather than action. Silence often speaks more loudly than sound. In Eugene Onegin, regret and missed opportunity define the drama. Characters fail not through action, but through hesitation. Emotional paralysis becomes the central tragedy. The human voice in Tchaikovsky's operas is never ornamental. It is exposed, vulnerable, and treated as a vehicle of emotional truth rather than virtuosity. Singing becomes confession. His orchestration follows the same philosophy. Rather than painting external scenery, it renders internal states with remarkable precision. Color serves emotion, not depiction. Melancholy in his music is not weakness or indulgence. It is honesty, presented without apology or disguise. Sadness is neither resolved nor denied. This emotional directness allowed his music to transcend national boundaries. Audiences across cultures recognized themselves within his sound. Personal vulnerability became universal experience. Western musical forms carried a distinctly Russian emotional character. Familiar structures housed unfamiliar depths. Tradition became a vessel for personal truth. Tchaikovsky belonged everywhere stylistically, yet never fully anywhere culturally. His identity remained unresolved, both personally and artistically. This tension defines his legacy. In his final years, a sense of conclusion emerged, whether consciously or intuitively. The Sixth Symphony functions as a farewell without declaration. It does not explain itself. Its final movement dissolves rather than concludes. Energy drains away gradually, leaving absence where resolution is expected. Silence becomes the final statement. Shortly after its premiere, Tchaikovsky died in 1893. The circumstances remain debated and unresolved. Speculation continues, certainty does not. What remains beyond doubt is the legacy. His music continues to speak where language fails. It endures because it does not pretend to heal pain, only to articulate it.